for some vintage inspiration to kick off your party for the big game? Well, I've got the perfect retro recipe for you. If you really want to give your guests something to spike their taste buds, then why don't you try this flaming meat appetizer tray from the 1960s? There's nothing like canned meat to get your guests to yell, "Touchdown!" Or you can make it modern by substituting the canned meat for a lighter, healthier snack, such as vegetarian pate. There won't be any flags on the plate when you serve this to your guests. Today on Making It Modern, I'm gonna use an unappetizing canned meat tray as inspiration for this silky and savory faux Gras. The history of preserved meat is a long one. One of the earliest recordings of salted meat is from the 1st century AD, but it was the French who took charcuterie to an art form. One of the most recognizable forms of potted meat is foie gras, a pate made out of artificially enlarged duck or goose livers, and it has long been considered a delicacy. Unfortunately, it was the Americans who managed to take this silky delight and muck it up by mass-producing canned meat that had, shall we say, mixed results. Even though the flavor and texture of canned meat often left something to be desired, it was a popular food item because it was easy to use and lasted forever. This appetizer meat star makes efficient use of canned meats and is essentially a mid-century charcuterie plate that is meant to mimic foie gras. Here's how you can make one at home. Begin by hollowing out a small head of iceberg lettuce just big enough for a small mason jar. The original recipe used a cabbage, but I found them to be incredibly difficult to work with. I also found modern sterno cans to be far too large, hence the small mason jar. Once you have your hole carved out, place the jar inside and then carefully scoop some gel out of a sterno and into the jar. Once you're finished, use toothpicks to display canned Vienna sausages on the outside of the lettuce. Next, using the tines of your fork, carefully run them down the length of a large cucumber. This will create pretty ridges that can be seen when you slice them around 1/4 of an inch thick. Now it's time to create your appetizers. Using various crackers and the sliced cucumbers, spread your canned meat on top. The last step is to glamorously garnish your tidbits with slices of peppers, olives, and pickles. I like to serve my canapes with a dip consisting of mayonnaise and a little bit of mustard. Don't forget to carefully light the sterno before presenting to your guests. It may look gorgeous, but how does it taste? Let's find out. Woo! Salty. It tastes salty, gritty, like sandpaper, and a little reminiscent of cat food, I think. All in all, it isn't nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but it also really isn't that good either. As I mentioned before, canned meat was popular because it was so incredibly easy to use. The good news is we no longer have to rely on it to create a beautiful hors d'oeuvre platter to serve to our guests. Instead, we can easily find the flavorful and decidedly more enticing toppings, such as the ubiquitous hummus and olive tapenade found in any grocery store. But because this is a cooking show, I thought I'd show you how to make one of my favorite spreads, which I like to call faux gras. It's completely vegan and tastes very similar to its meat counterpart, only without the cruelty. Begin by sautéing a diced small onion and 2 cloves of garlic in some olive oil. If you really want to be decadent, you can use butter, but of course it would no longer be vegan. Cook until they become translucent and then add 6 sliced white mushrooms. Stir to combine and then let them all cook together until everything is softened and is cooked through, around 6 to 8 minutes. Add 2 teaspoons of chopped fresh rosemary, 2 teaspoons chopped fresh sage, and 2 teaspoons of chopped fresh thyme. Cook for another minute and then remove from the heat. Meanwhile, in a food processor, blend together 2 cups of cooked green lentils, 1 cup of toasted pecans, 2 tablespoons freshly squeezed lemon juice, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 1 teaspoon brown sugar, and a dash of hot sauce. Be sure to add salt and pepper to taste. When the onion and mushroom mixture is finished cooking, add them to the food processor and mix until smooth. Let the whole thing settle in the fridge for a few hours and up to a few days before serving with toasted bread and some cornichon. Now this is delicious. I love the smooth texture and the earthy flavors of the mushrooms and the lentils and the pecans. And the whole thing is brought together with those yummy herbs that I put in. Oh, this is what you should be serving to your guests. Oh, Lord. By making either the vintage canned meat star appetizer tray or the vegan faux Gras spread, you can create an epic big game party that will have your guests cheering for more. Da, 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 da. Touchdown! Are my arms too high? Do they need to be right here? That will have you doing your very own victory dance. Or cheer? Victory cheer? Let me get through this! You can create an epic big game party that will have your guests cheering for more. It is really hard to do this and wink at the same time.